Hello, everyone.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome to
Welcome
Lesson Correct,
to the podcast where both of us are left, but only
but
one
only
of
one of us
us is
is
correct.
correct.
Yes.
Yay!
Yay.
How you doing today, Adrian?
Oh, let's see. It's July. What day is it? The
Ninth.
8th? The ninth? Um, I, I don't know. I'm feeling kind of antsy and I don't want to say depressed. Depressed isn't the right word, but I'm definitely like about everything. Everything. Where like everything bothers me. There's nowhere to go. There's nothing to do. And it's not like I want to defy that and go out. Like I know better. So it's not like and I don't know. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. How about you?
I'm great. Other than the never-ending terror that I'm eventually going to be homeless, this whole process is pretty relaxing for me. I was thinking a lot about depression the past few days, and I have typically had massive amounts of depression. But I got to tell you, with nothing to do, nowhere to go, no one to compare myself to, and just perpetually sleeping and eating, I've actually felt pretty darn good.
Oh, that's hey, I mean, that's good. I've
I mean,
you
I,
know,
I started working out again this week, and it's been a huge mood boost.
That's good. I
I
I
just,
have not been able to find that mood boost. I've like attempted, I mean, like just in the past couple of years anyway, I've been like, I mean, the struggle of my weight is the struggle of my life, quite frankly. And I've been everywhere from 300 pounds to 140 pounds. And I've gone through it. And I don't know, just as I get older, uh, it's more of a challenge. And not doing anything, even though it's, yes, I could wait, I could be doing all sorts of things in quarantine, like doing push-ups and yoga. I just haven't, it's I've been, depressed, but I don't want to say depressed, overwhelmed,
it's okay,
uh
say it. I mean, whatever.
dread,
It comes in
grief.
waves. We all know that it comes and goes.
Yeah.
You know.
And like the closest thing I think, and a lot of people I think have been experiencing this, particularly in New York City, since we've been, yeah, everything's been pretty shut down since mid-March. Um, the the closest that I could come to it is that feeling, is grief. It's like before my father passed away, it's just this like overwhelming sense of, you know, existential dread, profound sense of loss, uncertainty about the future, even though like you're okay, but the in the aggregate, it's just kind of what's it all about, like that kind of thing. And here we are, like 17 weeks later, and it's just like, oh, it's never ending. So I'm doing things to like where I can have control over something. Like I watch a lot of Instagram videos about curly hair and like how, so I'm like very aware of like how my hair is looking, and I'm just like, okay, great, because I can control that.
That's
um
cool. That's
but then
great.
I put on this hoodie and it's like tight, and I'm like, what is happening? And it's just like, so
I hear you. I mean,
yeah.
I and my thoughts about depression recently, I can't wrap it up into some kind of profound sentence or something.
Yeah.
But I just kept coming back to this sort of group of thoughts, which is basically like it felt terrible before. Like when I was running around having two jobs, teaching at night, doing stupid basement shows,
Hey.
beating myself up for not being a stand up, beating myself up for not writing a book, working 10 to 6 at a job that I really didn't like. I was miserable. And then I was free from all of that and I was miserable. So like like I guess just sort of coming to terms with the permanence of how our brain works, regardless of
Yeah.
circumstance. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
I wish.
And
I'm sure there's billions of books written about it.
But who
Billion.
has time
Billion.
to read?
Who has time
Oh,
to read?
oh. But even though I do, like every day, the gentleman friend, I'm like, I'm bored. He's like, read a book, and I'm like, oh. I did see an article going around. I didn't read it, of course, but the headline was pretty much I think along the lines of why is it so hard to read during quarantine, which was basically like that, where it's like the the ability to concentrate on a story or a book or anything like that is thwarted by all of this, existential dread that is happening around us. Like I identify with that. But yeah, but also at the same time, this has been quite the equalizer of so many things, hasn't it? Where it's like no one is doing anything. No one is, or no, to the degree of what we all were doing before. And for that gives me hope in the sense of like, okay, we don't know what the future will hold, but it will look definitely different from what it was before. And I mean, you and I have been involved in the improv community for a long time, and improv as we knew it is gone, right? it's
Yeah,
it's gone.
it's gone.
Yeah,
It's all online. No one
yeah.
watches it. You know.
Hey, I did a set, and I think I had 5 viewers. So
Oh, nice.
in the World Wide Web, getting that's pretty. 5
That's pretty good.
is pretty. Hey, that's pretty
Well,
good.
the thing is with live theater, it definitely is the industry that can't function during any type of quarantine.
No, no.
But it will come back in some respect, and I do have a hard time, even though I don't want to get into this insider baseball. I want to talk about the news in a minute here. But with UCB imploding spectacularly,
Oh,
the New York City improv scene is going to be very different. And
yeah,
but I bet that something will. I think that things that still exist will continue, and other things will rise
yeah,
because people love improv. I mean, as much as everyone loves to make fun of it, myself included, uh, there's many people who discover it and it becomes the joy of their lives for a couple years until they get a bunch of enemies and then uh,
no one
don't get
gets
on a
enemies
team.
except you. You're the one who gets enemies, not 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 other
That means
people.
I'm the only
They
one
make
doing stuff right.
they make lifelong friends and connections and collaborators. You make enemies.
I guess I'm unique. I guess I'm unique.
I guess.
But you want to talk about some news?
Oh, sure.
I mean, we can
Sure.
we can keep talking. But I was thinking maybe we should in the future always try to pick our subjects so the ones we disagree with the most are at the beginning, and then we end up agreeing more towards the end.
That would
I don't
probably.
I don't know if that's a good format.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's
Well, the
see.
first thing I wanted to bring up, speaking of reading, is the uh, good old Joe Bumblin put out his Unity Task Force document with traitor Bernie Sanders,
Oh boy.
and
But see, like, there you
and
go. So, okay, this is so.
that's why I said we should start with this first.
Heaven forbid people work together, right? Not in Zach Sommerfield's democracy. No, it's just your way, and everyone else could go to hell, or they're
Well,
traitors.
I mean,
That's
I know that's what you think, but the thing is, it's not actually working together. First of all, the task force are a joke. And second of all, their recommendations that they give out, there's literally nothing binding Biden to implementing any of it.
I mean,
And
I think
some of it is so ridiculous.
but you're taking you're approaching it from the perspective that he clearly is going to be like, okay, no, I'm lying. It's like we don't know. I mean, that's the I
Because he's a pathological liar,
no, he's
Adrian. Him
not.
personally.
No, sure.
Oh,
Okay.
don't even. Do not ever try to say that he is not a pathological liar.
He's a politician, like all the
No,
other
he in
politicians.
particular is
All
a
politicians lie.
pathological
I'm
liar.
so sorry to disturb you this way, but every single politician is a liar, and they like build their careers on lie, or they say something, they take it back, they change their minds, they flip flop. Don't wave your finger at me. Don't wave your finger at me. I'm not going to be waved at
Absolutely.
by someone who doesn't understand that every single politician in the history of politics has gone back and forth on all of their policies. Every single one. No one is perfect. I don't care. Like, God damn it. That's what
That
politics
is a crazy belief.
No,
You
it isn't.
think
That's the
every
truth.
politician has lied the whole time.
Yes.
Bonkers.
Yes,
But
no,
that's a
what?
bonkers. But
No,
I will
that's your
also say
entire political theology. So there you go. That's your entire political theology.
But I want
that I
to
actually
make
agree
it.
with.
Well, the thing though that's special, wave it, keep waving it, because now I'm going to tell you something you already know is that this politician in particular is a pathological liar. In this primary season alone, said that he was arrested in South Africa trying to see Nelson Mandela, said that he wrote every single bill that was considered good, said that he didn't vote for the Iraq War in a debate, said the list goes on and on, but his history of lying is unquestionable because his first presidential run, he had to drop out because people had bigger standards back then because he lied about the college that he went to. He's a liar. No, he is special. He is special. I'm going to go out on a limb here and get ready to quote this. I'm going to say he's a bigger liar than Hillary Clinton.
That is a desperate grasp from someone who knows that, like, it seems like a desperate attempt to try to create some kind of animosity that just isn't there in the political spectrum right now in 2020. Like, it's not.
Adrian, how can you say he's not a pathological liar?
I didn't. I mean, I'm saying they're all friggin' liars. They all are. They all are. They're politicians.
And
That's what they do.
In particular,
he is no
pathological
different than any
about
of them
it.
else. If you've been in politics for 8,000 years like he has, you have a whole litany of things where you said this, but what about this? Literally all of them. And to a certain degree, yes, don't lie. You know this is true.
It is absolutely not true.
I mean, I know you have to disagree with me. But like, it is.
I mean, I don't have to. If you were right, I wouldn't.
I am right. I'm correct.
You're not.
This. I am. Name me one politician who hasn't lied ever.
Bernie Sanders.
Oh, please. You're a traitor.
Bernie Rodham Sanders and Alexandria Rodham Cortez. Two truth tellers, okay?
Truth tellers, okay.
But what I am saying is not that politicians lie. I am making the very specific case that this man is pathological, and he is known for that. There's no defending him on the lying thing. The evidence is clear. It's bonkers how much he lies. I mean, when you say, yes, politicians say one thing and then they do something else, 100%, you're right, that happens. This man particularly lies about things that he did not do and claims that he did them.
Right.
That's next level.
But like, he's not the only one who has done that. Like,
not the only one, but out of the people running for president, we have two people who both pathologically lie.
But I mean, if a Republican-controlled Congress is demanding, tax returns for a subpoena, like, I think the Biden team would comply as best as they could, or as much as they could.
Why do you think that?
Because that's what normal friggin' people do. Because he's not
money
a
normal
Deutsche
person.
Bank and all this stuff. No one running for president is ever normal. What? They're all
Have you heard of
egomaniacs.
Bernie Hillary Sanders? He was
I
pretty
thought he
darn
was a
normal.
traitor. I thought he was a traitor. So now he's normal and a
He is a
truth teller?
traitor, and he's going to Central Park. He's going to Central Park. Okay,
Wow.
his
Wow.
truth can't get him out of Central Park.
Oh,
Okay,
God.
but
God.
this man is a psycho. But to get back to the idea of the task force in itself, um, one of the big things that I find completely bonkers is that in this moment of massive unrest about police brutality, this man will not even, in a document that doesn't bind him to anything, say that he wants to restrict qualified immunity for police officers.
You know, I saw a really great documentary last night on PBS about women's suffrage. And you should check it out. It's online. It's two parts. It's not, the warts and all about the history of women's suffrage and how it aligned with the abolitionist movement and how it fractured and all these sorts of things. So it's not rosy by any means. But by the time we got to the 19 teens, a lot of states in the West had already had women could vote in like Wyoming, Idaho, Washington State, and so but states like New York, Massachusetts shot it down. And so all these women's suffrage groups, as it was gaining popularity, and there were fractions who were like, we need to have an amendment. No, this needs to be a state thing. And Woodrow Wilson, who I know sucks, but he was president at the time, was against women's suffrage. And he would say, I'm against women's suffrage. And then he changed, and where it's like, it should be a states thing. States can have women's suffrage, but as a federal mandate, no. And then, but it got to the point where he was like, I'm for it. Okay. You have to make sure you have to pass this amendment, because at that point, because times change, things change, working with different people. Some people think it doesn't go far enough. Other people are like, or, in the White House having dinner with him, getting his ear. Are they traitors? All this sorts of stuff. But you eventually get there, right? Because that's what politics is. So, and then I watched that last night, and then I see this where I'm like, the fact, because the Trump campaign right now is running, like, they really want to make it that like Joe Biden is this like Antifa leader, like radical leftist, or like
Absurd. He's a
been
Republican conservative.
he has been brainwashed by these, like, there's literal ads that are running right now
Right.
with this
Yeah.
stuff of like people smashing windows and the police station on fire, being like, this is Joe Biden's America. Like, what? Which everyone, of course, because he's like, oh no, law enforcement's important, but there needs to be he's taking that route, because then they can't give them anything to run with, and so everyone watches these and they know it's ridiculous. So it's like, at this moment right now, July, whatever the hell day it is, I'm not saying like, you've lost my vote, Joe Biden. Like, no. When we say exercise our rights, it's what we were talking about exercise in the beginning. It's something that you continuously need to do. You continuously need to push. You continuously need to show up and vote. You continuously need to make sure that your voice is heard. So that's my take on it.
Well, I hear you. And it sounds like you're pushing the theory that once you elect a certain politician, you can push them in a different direction.
Yeah.
And I would say, going back to something you said about Woodrow Wilson, that's how politics is. I would say to you, that's how politics was. And politics is no longer that. I fully believe that it is, what's the word? I don't know, crystallized into this totally pro-corporate structure. We know what Biden will do. He was in the Obama administration. Obama, pure corporatist, neoliberal, ran as a corporatist. Everything was for corporations, nothing to help people. And that, only worse, is what Biden will absolutely do. There's no reason to believe that he would go further left because of this. Two things. One, he's going to staff his full administration with the same Obama neoliberals, or even worse, conservatives. And two,
Well,
When
we'll
he
see.
wins because Trump sucks so much, I mean, I fully believe you don't. I mean, I won't predict because we don't know, but the
'Cause
high probability that Trump will
I mean,
just continue to.
if the election were held today, Trump would lose. It's just,
Yes,
I mean, like, think about where we're at,
absolutely.
right? Like, we're at a really weird point where, like, Alaska could be in play. Like,
Right,
the
right,
polls coming out of Alaska are close. Like, what
right.
the hell? So it,
But what I wanted to say is,
but
if
this
the
idea that it's just going to be all this, scary suits with, we I hope not. I hope not.
why
And
would you why would you ever even hope that all of the evidence is there for exactly what he's going to do? Why would he ever put someone in power when he won't even negotiate with progressives during these task forces? But what I wanted to finish saying is that if Obama wins,
Obama,
because sorry, not Biden, if Biden wins, because Trump sucks so much, they're going to
he's a
waltz in
terrible
there
president.
saying they're going to waltz in there saying we won without the left, we don't need them, and they're
That's
going to
not
rule.
true at all.
That is absolutely true.
When
I,
you
what?
say left, when you say left, do you mean people who are never going to vote for a Democrat anyway, or do you mean Democrats who actually care about progressive issues? Like, there's two different this weird fraction of, like, liberals versus progressives. It's like someone like me,
They're
I'm a progressive,
absolutely
but
against.
I'm not.
They're for different things.
But it's not true. The majority of American voters who would vote Democratic, like, are like, yeah, no, like, yeah, I want, like, healthcare and this, that, like, that. We're all speaking the same language, just with different dialects. But
No,
if you're only watching crap on YouTube and, like, following people on Twitter who are paid to have shitty opinions, that's what you think it's going to be. But the reality is not that at all. Like,
well, what I do is I look at bills that people have voted on. I look at who funds their campaigns. I go to senate.gov and I look up the actual things that they write. I go to their campaigns and read their lists of policies. I do all of that stuff. And I'll tell you, that's what tells me he's going to rule exactly the way Obama did as a neoliberal corporatist. There is no reason that he would not do that. And I totally disagree with you. Progressives and liberals are not the same. Liberals would not be marching in the streets for Black
well,
Lives Matter.
they have been. They have been.
No.
No,
Mm-mm.
I think there's been this, like, cool kid convention of what words mean, and, like, what, like, this glossary of, like, the words that you need to use, and you get points. Like, you just said two of them, neoliberal corporatist, right? And it's like, so progressive and liberal, to the majority of people, they are the same. It's the same to them because, like, they're not on Twitter all goddamn day. They don't absorb politics the way that other people do. To them, it's just, okay, I want women to be able to have abortions, and, like, gay people are my friends and my family are me, and, like,
Sure.
and like,
Those are two issues that liberals still cling to, but they don't care about actually taking action on climate change. They don't
exactly, that's
care
what you think. Like,
about.
if anybody who a person who is not totally absorbed in politics the way that you or I are, or like other people who are live their lives online, in the political sphere, like, they think of themselves as liberal because they do care about climate change. They do care about access to healthcare. And I know but, like, they're not sitting there, like, counting their Goldman Sachs money, going, "I'm a liberal." Like, no, like that. But if the terms have changed because a couple of people online have determined that like, the meaning has shifted, then, like, you can carry on, and where, like, there's more connection there than there's not.
Except there
So
isn't, because a classical liberal is fine with bombing other countries. They're fine with empire. What has changed is that Bernie Sanders entered the race in the last election cycle and gave a huge bump forward to a progressive movement, which wants things that liberals do not care about or actively oppose. And you're absolutely right that the majority of people who are Democrats think that they're great people because they're like, I support gay rights and I think about climate change. But they are not interested or will work for getting politicians in place who aren't
well,
beholden to people who
I,
finance their
but I
campaigns
also
that
think a
stop them
lot
from
of
making
progressives,
legislation.
but I think a lot of progressives were also not active in getting people in place and like getting, so it's the democratic process is incumbent upon us to put people in positions of power to make sure that they represent us,
Right.
and
And
so
so we have this
it's
completely janky process for president where the primaries are
but it's not even just
goofy at the
president.
least.
It's like it's
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 every
it's
office,
the
absolutely.
Senate,
And all
the
those
House,
primaries,
and
as we just
you
saw,
know,
are goofy too, because even you and I, as educated as we are, look at what a hard time we had voting in our local elections in making real good decisions. We talked about it for a whole episode. Like, it ain't easy, you know? So the way the Democratic Party works now is a corporate-based party. They don't want to lose funding. They believe, maybe
that's the two
very
part.
rightfully
That's I mean
so,
that's the two party duopoly though. I mean, like it's the
absolutely,
Republicans
and so
are
they
just the
both are
same way
corporatists right now.
now. But talking about
Absolutely, they
like
are. I bet I don't care
getting
about
money out of
Republicans because they're
products,
whack jobs.
but like but they do exist, and those
Sure,
people
they
vote.
exist,
They exist, and those people vote, regardless of
and
whether it's Donald Trump or Mitt Romney. They vote for them, and like that's the thing. As things get splintered on the left because of this weird sort of this newness of what terms mean, or these sort of you know insults of like, wait, I what of this sort of sanctimonious progressiveness. Republicans don't care. They will show up and they will vote, and that's why they win because they don't get themselves involved in this stuff.
they have their own divisions between evangelicals and classic conservatives and
But they vote.
corporatists.
They vote for them. It doesn't matter
Well, you
if
know
it.
what? It's because they're a bunch of trash people, and so whatever
But
trash they put
that's
up, they're happy with it. The people who are in the progressive camp are saying, let's stop being trash. But the corporate Democrats refuse to allow that to happen. And so they put up someone like Biden, who is 100%
see,
not dedicated to anything
people
that
voted for
progressives
him
want.
too. So you're saying that voters are trash. So that's what
The
you're
voters
saying.
who voted for Biden are trash.
So the
Absolutely, they
majority of
are.
Democratic voters, and quite
They're
frankly,
not
like
the majority. There
yes,
was too
it
many
was.
shenanigans to say that
No,
they were a
there
majority.
wasn't. There wasn't
He
boo.
barely won. He
No,
won
he
because of
didn't.
shenanigans.
No, not
Absolutely,
everything
he
is
did.
a shenanigan. It's
Oh,
not.
Adrian, you and I recorded live during most of the first couple primaries. We saw the shenanigans. We talked about the shenanigans. The shenanigans are real.
So in Iowa, everything was completely foobar in Iowa with this app and
Yeah,
things and
you
like
were there. We were
I,
both there, remember?
in Iowa. That's right, in that gym in Des Moines. I totally forgot. It feels like 10 years ago. That's
It
how
does
long
feel like 10
quarantine
years
has
ago.
been. Oh, that's right. Because of the
Well,
app, there's definitely shenanigans.
so now I had planned to talk about some other things, uh, but we talked almost the whole time about something we disagree upon. Uh, so maybe next episode we'll just talk about something we both love.
Sure. Um, sure.
uh, but just to wrap up on this issue, I would say that these task force, again, were always a joke and don't have much meaning. I do think that there were some missed opportunities for the Biden campaign to get press in a way that would have helped get younger voters on his side.
I mean, that being said, as we've seen, younger people don't vote. I mean,
It's
so,
hard for them to vote when all their polling places are taken away.
well, that's you could thank yeah, thanks to the evil DNC. No,
Absolutely.
absolutely not. But
Uh,
but on another, I know we're running out of time, but the president is not above the law. So says the Supreme Court, which is a good thing. It's good
yeah,
precedent. Absolutely. Um, I
that
know
is a
you
good
love.
thing.
I know you love Donald Trump, and you hope he wins to further, divide all of us and bring about the revolution. But he is not above the law. But it's not like we could see his tax returns tomorrow. It just goes back to lower courts and continue that nonsense. but at
And that's
least
great.
it's
That's a,
not.
that's been a never-ending struggle in our country of deciding on the federal level, what separation of powers, how do they work? It's been an ongoing thing, and I think that's cool that still happens. I guess it'd be cooler if it was perfectly worked out in a way that was perfect. But it's nice to see that the Supreme
We
Court still stands
That's
up for
why,
itself.
I mean, that's why we are an American experiment, because we're still experimenting with how all of this works.
All right, well, don't experiment with
So,
marijuana or Joe Biden will arrest you.
no,
Until
he
next
won't.
time. Yes, he will. Until
Yeah,
next time,
that's
I've been Zach Sommerfield.
and I'm Gruff McCrime dog.
And
McGruff
this has been
left and
Left
correct.
and Correct.